Monkey D. Luffy sets off on a journey to become the world's greatest pirate. I discuss this and more on today's episode. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I found in my travels. And today's manga is pretty strange. I am back on that manga grind. Today's manga focuses on piracy. I am referring to One Piece Volume 1, Romance Dawn, by Eiichiro Oda, which was published in 1997. For those who don't know, Eiichiro Oda is a Japanese writer, predominantly manga writer, who's been writing since the 1990s. He's written a couple of different mangas, but the one that he's most notable for is One Piece, which has sort of spawned a media empire, including movies and anime, maybe video games. I don't recall reading that, but it's primarily a manga which has over 100 volumes. So it's quite an in-depth endeavor. That I hope to be able to read. I found this at my local library. Don't forget to patronize your local libraries. I don't think they have every single volume, but I could probably fill in the gaps by buying a copy here or there. And yeah, pretty interesting writer. He's known as somewhat of a perfectionist. I should also note that I am going to be talking about the One Piece series, but I probably won't cover every single volume. I doubt every single volume has enough for me to really talk about, enough for me to latch on to. So I'll probably be talking about it here and there. You'll see me cover Volume 1 and then maybe Volume 13 or something like that. Just anyone that particularly captures my attention. And so without further ado, let's talk about Volume 1. I will do a summary, a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. So One Piece focuses on Monkey D. Luffy, who has a very interesting name. At the beginning of the story, he's a young boy. He wants to join a pirate crew led by Captain Shanks. But Shanks is not willing to let him be part of the crew because he's so young and he doesn't know how to swim. But he says that he's going to learn how. The crew also finds out that Luffy has eaten the gum fruit, which is a magical fruit that makes you made of rubber and also makes it so you can never learn how to swim. So he has this interesting ability, but it means he can't be part of the pirate crew. While they're at a bar, a group of bandits come in and cause a ruckus, and the Shanks decides not to fight them at that point. And then the pirate crew goes off on an adventure, and while Luffy is at the bar, the bandit crew walks in again, and Luffy challenges them to a fight. And they start to beat him up, but Luffy isn't hurt because, of course, he's made out of rubber. And the pirate crew manages to come back and defeat the bandits. Luffy says that he's going to wait and become better in order to sail with the pirate crew. And this takes about 10 years, and finally he decides to take off to the sea as a young man. He first beats up a sea beast with one of his rubber punches. Basically, he uses his abilities for special strength and whatnot, manages to defeat the sea beast, and then as he's sailing, he runs into Lady Evita, who is a pirate, and she's holding a boy named Koby kind of hostage, forcing him to be the cabin boy, and he wants to escape, but Lady Evita won't let him, and Luffy sees this and fights Lady Evita, wins, and manages to free Koby. Koby says that he wants to be a great naval officer, which puts him at odds against Luffy, because Luffy is going to be a pirate and those two are bound for conflict. But Koby initially agrees to join Luffy's crew until he reaches a point where he can do other things. And then Luffy heads to a nearby city, which is actually a naval city. And it's there that Luffy runs into Roronoa Zolo, who is being held captive. Zolo is a renowned pirate hunter, and Luffy wants him to join his crew, but Zolo says that he's not willing to do that. And in fact, Zolo thinks he's going to be freed if he manages to stay hungry for like a month. The captain's son will free him. And Luffy thinks, this is a wasted opportunity here. Luffy finds out that the naval captain's son intends to kill him in 3 days. So Luffy goes and attempts to free Roronoa Zolo, which puts them at odds with the naval captain Morgan, who is holding this pirate, or this naval city, kind of hostage at this point. And they also fight his son, and Zolo manages to help Luffy defeat this once Luffy frees him. And Zolo also recalls a memory where he vowed to become a great swordsman in order to fight a woman who kept defeating him in combat. And unfortunately, she died, but he made her a promise that he would become the greatest swordsman to honor her. And that's sort of what's driving him. And after they defeat Captain Morgan, Zolo promises to join Luffy's fight crew. And at this point, Koby breaks apart and decides to join the naval crew. And maybe this might put them at odds later. Who knows? Luffy and Zolo then proceed to set sail, but they realize they're at odds because they don't really have a navigator, so they're in search of that. And then Luffy catches a ride on a bird of some sort, and flies off to a nearby city while Zolo deals with pirates that are come aboard because they got swindled by a woman named Nami. And these pirates belong to Buggy the Clown, which is an interesting name for a pirate. Luffy lands in a nearby city and manages to fight off some pirates. And the woman that they were chasing after is Nami. Like she is a pirate person who is kind of working on her own. But Luffy notes that she's a good navigator, so he wants her to join his pirate crew. She doesn't really give an answer at that point, but that's where the story ends there. In terms of analysis, there's a little bit worth talking about. This certainly isn't as complex as other mangas that I've been reading, but it does provide us with some good humor and whatnot. We do see that Oda highlights Luffy's righteous pirating here. Luffy wants to be a pirate. Pirates are, a nefarious bunch, stealing and looting and whatnot, but Luffy wants to be a good pirate, it seems. We see this as he's saving Koby from being an indentured servant, essentially. He saves Zolo from being executed, and he's clearly helping needy people throughout his travels. And we especially see this when he stands up to Captain Morgan, because it's what's right. Captain Morgan is sort of ruling this town in fear, causing havoc and being mean to everyone. Luffy doesn't like that. He's sort of noble and helpful and an inherent good person, despite his buffoonery at times. And he's doing it because someone has to do it. No one else is going to do it, and he has the power and ability to maybe get the upper hand on these nefarious people, so he has an obligation to do that. So he's living up to a moral code, which you don't really see pirates do at times. The character motivations in this story are fascinating as well. All of these characters seem to want to be the best in some way. We've only just been introduced to Nami, but she seems to want to be the best. She's considered the best navigator. Luffy wants to be the best pirate. Koby wants to be a great naval soldier. We'll see what comes out of that. It might put him at odds with Luffy here. I'm very interested in seeing what sort of conflict might happen, given that there's 100 volumes. You might as well see these characters sort of clash at one point, I would hope. And Zolo wants to be the best swordsman. Zolo's backstory is particularly interesting because it's very short. It's only like a page or two long, but it's very emotional. He was a young man who was bested by a woman swordsman multiple times, and he was like, I'm going to train and become the best. And it's not because I want to be better than a woman, it's because I want to be better than you as a swords person. And they both kind of made a point to train and become great swordsmen, and then eventually they would come together and fight and see what would happen. Unfortunately, she died in an accident. She tripped and fell down the stairs, which is rather sudden, and in a very emotional scene on paper, like he cries and says, I'm going to become a great swordsman anyways, just to honor you, and keep my promise, which is very, very touching, very quality writing, I would say. And it really highlights what exactly Zolo wants to be, using the limited time that he might have, limited number of pages to sort of highlight that. So I'm interested in seeing where all the characters go from here, because this is a good start, and it offers a good opportunity to sort of explore and flesh out those characters. Other interesting elements of this particular volume are the funny art. I don't think it's as necessarily complex or spooky or well done as, say, Berserk. And I feel it's unfair to compare it to Berserk because they're both two different types of graphic novels, of mangas. But I do think the art is pretty funny, highlighting the zaniness of Luffy's character. And I can't wait to see what more bizarre adventures he gets into, kind of like JoJo, but not really like JoJo. That's just a joke there. Also, I like the idea of the gum fruit, and just eating it changes you and makes you become rubber, and also means you can't swim, establishing a weakness for Luffy's character, even if he can't necessarily be hurt by conventional means. It's an interesting sort of way to give him a weakness there. But I want to try the gum fruit. That sounds very interesting. Not much is told about it, but you've already established some powers that Luffy has, and if other characters eat it, they're a strong foe for Luffy to face off against. And I myself want to try it just to see what it's like to be made of rubber and other sorts of things like that. So I gotta give Oda credit for kind of inventing a mythology, a lore here that makes the characters and stories more fascinating. Anyway, those are my thoughts on One Piece Volume 1 by Eiichiro Oda. Pretty solid entry. Not amongst the best of manga that I read, but certainly entertaining and worth reading, I would say. I'm definitely going to pursue other volumes in the series, just get a feel for what I can expect from One Piece in general. It's probably going to take a long while to make it through the entire series because there's hundreds or at least more than 100 volumes. So it'll take a while. Maybe I'll also check out the anime and the movies and see what that yields. But looking forward to it there. But other than that, if you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments below. If you want to comment on my review, let me know. Would love to have a discussion with you on this. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about One Piece if they don't know. This seems to be really popular, so I have a feeling a lot of people might know, or they might find out about this author if they don't know who the author is. But other than that, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and rubbery travels. Farewell.